Hey everybody, John Lorden here with a special Searchlight update for today, Wednesday, July 26th, 2017. We are following up on the case from last week regarding the Facebook page Missing in America and the woman that was claiming to be Jennifer Klein. The woman's name is Michelle Hooper. Now, some of you might already know the outcome of this. I'm going to try to go through this story as it happened because in a bit of a rare occurrence, I somehow got a little closer to this story than actually made me feel comfortable, but I think it might give you guys some insight and hopefully dispel some rumors that are circulating out there about Nancy and about her potentially being kind of working in cahoots with Michelle Hooper. So let's start at Web Sleuths. And I did just want to give you guys an update that they did address the fact that they were basically shutting down threads that were about this conversation. And Trisha, the owner of websleuths.com, has a couple of red flags that she noticed in this story. And then at the bottom, she says, if I am wrong, I will certainly admit it. So I'm going to have this link in the description box below just so you can kind of understand why Web Sleuths was opting to not cover this story. I don't know if it's better or worse because, I see Web Sleuths as an area to try to discover the truth in these stories. So, in this case, maybe some conversation could have helped along those lines, but admittedly, there was plenty of conversation going on in other places, including Reddit, of course, on Facebook about this whole case, and not the least of which on this channel. So, what happened? Well, we're going to roll back to a Facebook post that Missing America kicked out. If I recall correctly, this post actually came out the day that I posted the Searchlight episode about this case. Here we can see Nancy states, "We are removing all content regarding Jennifer Klein. There seems to be a big misunderstanding. We removed all content on this update. Only announcement will come from law enforcement." And literally this came out a matter of hours after the Searchlight episode was released. It doesn't really give us a whole lot of information about what the true status is going on here. People that were supporting the story were basically saying, hey, look, this doesn't mean that this story was false. They are probably having to cooperate with law enforcement who wants to make this announcement at their own time in their own way. At least that was the theory of many of the supporters out there. Now, later this afternoon, this is last Wednesday, Nancy actually reached out to me via email and said, I would really like to talk to you. So she gave me her phone number and I did call her and we spoke for about a half hour. And I have to say that I could already feel that she was upset about what was going on. I still didn't quite have the details of was Michelle Hooper really Jennifer Klein or not. All I was getting from Nancy was that she was worried that she might be being deceived, but she still wasn't certain. She mentioned a few things that initially I was not going to talk about in this video, but she has kind of since dropped some little information about that. So I just want to flesh out what she's already putting out there. And I want to do this in an effort to make it very clear for people that think that she was working in collaboration with Michelle Hooper. I can tell you guys, after speaking to Nancy directly, tracking everything that's been going on over the last week, I firmly do not believe that she was working in cooperation with Michelle Hooper. I might think, and this is purely my opinion, that Nancy still might not be sure of the results, despite the fact that we have some statements from some certain people that make it seem pretty definitive in terms of the results. I have this sneaky suspicion that Nancy might be holding out for a different DNA result to come out and say she is indeed Jennifer Klein. And that's purely my speculation. Nancy did not tell me that. But what she did tell me are some things that were told to her by Michelle Hooper. She shared information with me that was sent to her from Michelle Hooper. Essentially, I felt like I got access to a lot of the case information that Nancy was compiling and basing her decision on. And I can tell you, after looking at that information, it did not seem unreasonable to me for her to come to that conclusion. And I'm not even talking about the pictures. I was very clear with her about my critique of the photos. Photos, they're so hard to substantiate claims based on photos because it really comes down to a matter of opinion. Does this person look like that person? Could this person have had some type of surgery to alter their appearance? There's a lot of conjecture in that kind of stuff, and I don't think it helps particularly a whole lot in cases like this. It might help you identify where to look. It might help you get started on a case, but it is certainly not information that's going to help you prove a case. I'm sure that type of information would not hold up in any court of law. And from what I've seen over the past week, even in the court of public opinion, it is highly scrutinized. It's too easy to refute that type of information. However, there was two key things that I want to bring up to you guys about information that she was given. One was a recording. She apparently had told Michelle to at least record the conversation where the detectives were giving her the DNA results. And apparently Nancy had heard that recording, and she was pretty certain that it said that DNA was a match. So even on the phone call at that point, I was bringing up the thought with Nancy, could this call have been faked? You know, it wouldn't be hard to get a couple of her friends to sit around a recorder and to fake this conversation. I don't know why she would be going to these lengths, but it's certainly possible. The other thing was she had a cousin that apparently went with her to that meeting, and I believe it's her cousin that was actually recording that phone call. So even if you're looking at this case critically and you're not sure if you can really trust in Michelle or not, you now have another person, admittedly not quite independent because they're a person related to Michelle, but you have someone else that is basically backing up her claims and her story and saying, yep, this is true. And I have some information that actually shows that online as well. So I just wanted to put out there for the info that Nancy was giving me, which she wasn't as open about in terms of the information she was presenting on YouTube or Facebook. I think that she had very good reasons to think that there was indeed a strong possibility that Michelle was actually Jennifer, even though that didn't quite pan out. So then a day or two after that, we get this update from Missing in America. First of all, I get notified by many of you brain scratchers out there that the Facebook page seems to be taken down. I confirm that. It does then get turned back on at one point with this message. It has been confirmed by officials. Michelle Hooper is not Jennifer Klein. We will be removing all videos and posts. We apologize to all involved. Please remember that groups like ours are the voice of the missing and unidentified, and all cases should be taken seriously. Molly, who I believe is the person that was running the GoFundMe, had advised all funds raised into the GoFundMe will be returned. And then after that, a little bit more of an emotional message from Nancy here. In the light of all developments in this case, I am truly sorry for all the hurt that this has caused everybody. I don't know that I will ever be able to trust another person again, which is really a shame. This is something that we were discussing on the phone, and I was telling her that I really hope that this doesn't derail her from trying to help in these cases. That this is a specific incident that happened here, and maybe there are lessons to learn from it and incorporate those going forward. But I really didn't want her to give up. I believe she's trying to say my goal and my work for 12 years has been completely destroyed without explanation. I think she means this female, Michelle Hooper, was very convincing along with witnesses and audio. That's why I mentioned those points before. And truly a missing person advocate is supposed to be the voice of the missing. This is what I thought I was doing. I will be shutting down this group, never to work another missing persons case again, even though this is my first time working this type of case. I want everyone to keep in mind that this has been going on for over a year and it's never been addressed by law enforcement. My main goal, since I believe her, was to pressure to get any DNA test, which we did. Again, I'm really truly sorry for everything. Missing in America's page will be shutting down in approximately an hour. Thank you. And it did shut down. But then I believe a day or so later, it came back and all of the Michelle Hooper stuff has been removed. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at it. And this is me checking literally right now. And we can see that Missing in America is still up. And I hope Nancy will continue on this. And I'm glad that she didn't follow that kind of gut hurt reaction that she was having to shut down her page and to not do any of this anymore. So what about this cousin? Well, I bumped into this post at mydeathspace.com where someone had reached out to the cousin. Her name is Amber Hooper, and they had a conversation with her. So is the stuff true about Michelle Hooper really being the missing girl, Jennifer Klein? I don't see anything about it in the news, but the internet is blowing up with the interview. And Amber replies, they aren't putting it on the news yet, but yes, it's true. We have basically Amber talking about how their families are connected and essentially just supporting the elements of this story. I'm gonna have a link to this down below so you guys can read the whole thread for yourselves. I don't see a whole lot of value in reading this whole thread outside of the fact that it does support exactly what Nancy was telling me. She had information coming from multiple sources that was backing this same story. Just admittedly, when the source is a family member, I think you really have to take that with a grain of salt. victimsnewsonline.com posted an article about this. This was posted on July 20th, and they finally got a word from Todd Matthews, Director of Case Management and Communications at NamUs, and he was very clear. On July 20th, 2017, a representative of the Grand County Sheriff's Office confirmed that Michelle Hooper was excluded as a match for Jennifer Klein following DNA testing. So we have Nancy saying that there's an official word that she's not a match. We now have NamUs saying there's an official word that she is not a match. But that leaves me with the question of, well, then what exactly happened here? Last week, I was theorizing that it's potential that Michelle might be mistaken. Maybe she's going through something where she really believes that she is Jennifer Klein. But now we have a cousin that's helping her with this story. We have some type of tape that came from somewhere that could have been completely fabricated. I mean, is this starting to show that there was some level of intent to deceive the public in some way? It's hard for me to say no to that, especially when you consider the timing of the videos and how they came out, the video with her announcing the DNA was a match and the GoFundMe being open for that video to occur. And then, of course, some funds being raised by that GoFundMe. Now, I think it only got up to $650. The GoFundMe did get shut down fairly quickly after last week's Searchlight. And I spoke to Nancy about that, and the intent of raising the money seemed to have, there was a good intent even behind that as well. They thought that they might have to put her in some type of protection. She was now going to be dealing with situations where, her family members might be investigated as criminals, so she might have had to move. But when you're looking back at this story and you know that it's not true, you know that the DNA test excluded her, but she came on to Missing in America's page and said, I'm 100% match. I don't know, guys. It's upsetting. It's really upsetting. It's kind of the worst case situation when I'm looking into things like this to see it come out in this way. Some people argue that maybe raising the exposure to the case and the other cases that she was saying were all related to her life might have been helpful. But quite honestly, I feel like it was not helpful to Nancy. I think she got thrown through a very big emotional curve, which I'm hopeful that she will move through and grow from. And it looks like she is. So I'm very happy to see that. It kind of pulled me into this strange emotional thing that was going on. And I think that's the problem with manipulation like this is they're pulling on the heartstrings of people that care. And like Nancy said, trying to be an advocate for the missing, trying to raise exposure to keep them in the public mindset. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. You guys know I share that with you regularly, but it is very important, especially to some of us, to do that. So to see someone grab that attention, use it for whatever gain. I don't know if it was monetary. I don't know if it was personal. I don't know if she just wanted to be internet famous for a couple weeks. But to pull attention and resources away from how they could have been used in other areas kind of sucks, in my opinion. This week should have been a Searchlight about another case. And instead, I have to come out here and I feel like I have to clean up a bit of a mess that was started by me even reviewing this case in the first place. When I had strong inclinations about something weird going on in this case, but there was just too much buzz. There was too many people talking about it and brain scratchers that wanted me to address it. So I decided to focus on it. I don't think that was a mistake. I think the mistake is the person that manipulated us into this situation. And it's really kind of terrible when I look at it, when you're essentially using the names of missing children to try to promote anything, if it's for financial gain or attention or whatever it was. I don't get it. So let's just say I don't have very warm feelings about Michelle Hooper. Nancy and I seem to get off kind of on the wrong foot in the fallout of all this. Personally, I'm just happy to see her continue. I hope she continues with her work. I had offered originally for her to come onto the channel and to help, try to clean some of this up when we got the final answer out. I don't really think that's going to happen now, but I at least felt like there was some things that I could say and raise attention to that will help you guys understand a bit better of exactly what she was facing and the type of information she had and why it led her to the conclusion that it did. And honestly, I learned tons through this. Just having a very good conversation with Nancy about our level of responsibility being in this new media, this whole layer of new media. Not all of us have training in journalism. Not all of us understand the responsibilities of the information that we share and trying to make sure it's as good as possible. So it was certainly a good check, if nothing else, in terms of what I'm doing. It's made me really think about my processes again. But I'm just really happy that this did not blow up to it got internet famous, I guess I'd consider it, but I'm really glad that it didn't grab the attention of major media. I'm glad that GoFundMe didn't turn into a real beast and, whip together thousands of dollars for someone that didn't necessarily deserve it. Luckily, when I look back at this, the casualties were all relatively light, but I'm a little heartbroken that Nancy kind of caught the brunt of what was going on with this. And I do want to address, because there's a lot of rumors out there, once again, I firmly believe she was not doing this intentionally. She thought she was acting in the best interest of the missing persons case. And I just have to leave it at that. There's really nothing else I can say about it. As you guys can see, I'm really struggling getting this video out. So I think at this point, I've addressed everything that I want to address. And I have another video about a separate case that I want to share with you guys. So I'm going to call it, this is the end of this video. But thank you guys so much for caring, for following this story, for keeping me updated when it all shook out last week after the Searchlight came out. It was like a roller coaster. Not necessarily the type that I like to be on, but it was an experience, if nothing else, and just one of the many that I have working on this channel and doing this type of work. But thank you so much for being there. Take care, everyone, and I will see you on another video today, a BrainScratch Searchlight update on the Corey McKeague case. Hope to see you there.